Hi, it's Caden, and today I wanted to talk about how to choose the right retirement community for you guys. So, there's a ton of different options to retire nationwide. I mean, there's a ton of communities, 55 plus age restricted communities, just condo living in nice golf course, country club areas. There's a ton of options. I'm going to talk a lot more about Arizona because that is where I work out of. And I know you're kind of probably looking at me and like, why should I take, retirement community advice from this kid? I do help a lot of people out in these areas. I know a lot of our different communities, what each one has to offer here in Arizona. And I'm not old enough to get into any yet, but I do like to help people out and choose which one is right for them. I'd say the first step to choosing the right community is to make a checklist of everything you want. So I tell this to people who aren't even looking to retire, just looking for a home. You need to make a checklist of maybe 10 things that you want on the community or the home. And when we walk into the community, if it hits, 8 out of the 10, 9 out of the 10, is that a community you would want to live in? So for instance, big things as far as location goes, you're going to want to be, do you have friends and family here in Arizona? Well, what part of Arizona are they living in? If they're in the West Valley, maybe you want to be in a community closer to them. Maybe you don't want to be close to family. Maybe you want to be, 45 minutes away from your family so you don't have to see them too often and you want to stay, a little bit to yourself. Are you going to have friends and family coming in and visiting you in the airport? We live in Arizona. A lot of people love coming and visiting for a weekend. Arizona, who doesn't like to take a little weekend trip here? You want to be close to the airport, maybe 45 minutes. Is that too long? Is an hour drive to the airport too long? Do you want to be, within 30 minutes of the airport? My biggest take on the whole location idea is I want to be the closest to my friends or family. So if I was moving in here from out of state, and say I'm coming from up north, a lot of people come down here for the good weather. I want to be in a community where I have friends. So if I have some friends who live in Sun City West, maybe Sun City, I want to kind of stay within that kind of Western Valley, like the West Valley age restricted communities up there. If I had friends living out on the East Valley that I wanted to be around and live in the same community as, I would want to be over there. That's another big thing with family. So a lot of families, a lot of the growing family cities are Peoria and Chandler. So do I want to be near my family, or do I want to be out in Buckeye a little further away? Family still live out in Buckeye, but where do I want to be relative to my family? Personally, I'm choosing a little closer. If I was retiring here in Arizona, I would want to be closer to my family so we didn't have to drive too far to see each other. But again, that's up to you guys and what kind of would work for you. So I'd say that's one of the big things that you want to take into account is, according to your friends and family, where about do you want to be? Like I said a little bit earlier, another big factor when depending on the location is going to be, how close are you to the airport? So whether that's, are you going to be doing this as like a snowbird lifestyle? You're going to come down for maybe 4 or 5 months out of the year and then go back to maybe, up north, Michigan, Minnesota, wherever it be. Are you going to be traveling a lot? Do you need to be close to the airport for yourself? Or are you going to have friends visiting a lot and you don't want to drive too far back and forth from the airport? Another big factor, how close do I want to be to the airport? Another thing, how close do I want to be to hiking and mountains? So here in the valley, basically, anywhere in the Phoenix Valley, you're going to be pretty close to hiking and mountains and kind of trails and all that area. Do I want to be close to some lakes? In the West Valley, we've got Lake Pleasant. In the East, we've got, Saguaro Lake. We've got a few lakes scattered throughout as well. But for instance, Victory at Verado. Do you want to be right on the mountains like that? It's really cool. You're a little further out, but you get the really cool environment. And that's another thing leading into location is, what do you want your environment to be like? If you're up in the Sun City and Sun City West, it's more of like a community, like a town environment. But if you're out there in like Sun City Festival, which is way out west, you're right in the mountains. That's your environment. You look around and you just see mountains everywhere, which is really nice. And you get nice golf courses and you get cool views. But that's something to take into account. Do I want to be in the mountains or do I want to be in like a city? Another thing that is kind of within that location realm is your golf cart ability. Do you want to be in a golf cart all day? You drive into the grocery store in a golf cart. There aren't too many communities that you can do that, like just go out and run errands to golf, to like grocery stores and like that. But do you want your community to be golf cartable? There are small 55 plus communities, with just one little rec center, a couple pickleball courts and there's no real need for a golf cart because, it's just easier to either walk there or just drive your car there. They got parking. So if you really want a golf cart, that's going to depend on, your location. What do you want that to look like? Another thing is healthcare. So here in the Phoenix Valley, we've got a lot of healthcare. So I'd say, almost every single 55 plus community, unless you're way out there and maybe like that Queen Creek or even further east and south there, you're gonna have healthcare pretty available to you. I'd say just about every 55 plus community has a hospital within 10 to 15 minutes of it. Another thing to add to your checklist is amenities. So what do you want to have in your community? Like I was talking about earlier, do you want lakes nearby? Do you want mountains? Do you want pickleball courts? Like I said earlier, there are some, if you're really into pickleball and you want to go play in tournaments every weekend, you're going to want to join a bigger community with more pickleball courts. It just makes sense. If you are really into, say, hiking in the mountains, you're going to want to go to a community that's closer to hiking in mountains. A lot of them are nearby, especially in the East Valley and even the West Valley too. There's a lot of hiking nearby to just about everywhere, but do you want to be right on top of it? There are some communities that have trailheads right out of the community, like the trail is part of the community. That's something to take into account. Do you want to be close to a lake? We've got Lake Pleasant. The Sun Cities are not too far away from Lake Pleasant. You could pop up there for a day or maybe even a weekend if you wanted to camp out there. There are some communities that don't really have any amenities pertaining to the community. Example of this is like Villa Monterey. It's out there in Scottsdale. It's just, a bunch of like townhouse living. It is age restricted. You get a few community parks and a couple pools here that you have like lower HOA fees to cover it because you don't have anything crazy like amenity wise. But it's right there in the heart of Scottsdale. So you've got all the entertainment and amenities that you need. Your amenities in that community are going to be more city focused. You go over to, Chaparral Park, which has all these city amenities that you can use. All your entertainment is going to be in, Old Town Scottsdale. So some communities won't have any amenities at all, but they have a nice location so you can get to all these other forms of entertainment. So that's maybe something else you want to add to your checklist I talked about at the beginning. These videos, I'm just trying to help you set together your checklist that you can go through. So when you come out and you want to see some stuff, you have a checklist of 10 things. Hey, these are the things I want to do. If a community has 8 to 9 things, I want to live there. That's the goal of the video. Another thing, do you even want your community to be age restricted? Do you want to just live in a community that's nice and quieter, or do you really want it to be age restricted? There are communities like I was talking about earlier, Verrado. I highly recommend Verrado to anybody who wants to live in a quieter community, but you don't want to be in an age restricted community. Victory at Verrado is the age restricted part of Verrado, but say you're 40 years old, you can't really get into any of these age restricted communities, but you're retired and you want to have a home down here in Arizona. Victory at Verrado is probably your best option. They have like this downtown area that's really cool. You can golf cart to the downtown area. So there's no reason to leave the community because they've got grocery stores, restaurants, all this stuff downtown, and they've got like a courtyard and a rec center and all this, a country club, golf club. Like Victory at Verrado is almost its own city, and it's all, a golf cart drive away. So if you wanted to, be able to golf cart and never have to step in a car again, but not be in an age-restricted community, Verrado is really unique in that sense, and that's something that would be able to work for you. I highly recommend that community. Another example of not being age-restricted, do you want to just live in a community that's close to a country club? Moon Valley Country Club, they've got, that Moon Valley area around it. It's a quieter area. It's a little more family-focused, but, you can retire there. Plenty of people do. You've got the Kierland Greens. Those are nice condos. That's another thing. Do you want to live in just a condo or a townhouse? Do you want to own a single family home? Do you want to live in condos? That's just another thing to put on your checklist. There's a ton of cool condo communities, townhouse communities that are gated within like a country club, golf club kind of feel, like Kierland Greens, that a lot of people do. They will do the snowbird living, or they'll live there full time and just retire here. But a lot of people will do that snowbird living in communities like that. Another example I'd recommend is Cave Creek proper. So up there in the town of Cave Creek proper, you got a lot of cool homes up there. They are a little more expensive, but that's a great place to retire. You get all that entertainment right there. It's basically Old Town Scottsdale entertainment wise. And then you get the golf and all of that. And you're not too far away from, the rest of the city if you wanted to make a little trip down there for the rest of the day. And talking about those condo living and all the different types of age restricted communities or not age restricted communities, talking about the condo living, that kind of leads me into my next point of, what kind of home do you want? Do you want a bigger home? Do you want a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom with 3,000 square feet? Do you want to host activities? What stage of your life are you at? Are you like, hey, I want to be close to my family, but I never want to have them over. So I want to have a 2-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. I'm tired of hosting the family events. I don't want to have anybody over. Do you want to have a bigger house where you do host people over from the community? Do you want to invite your friends over for a barbecue one day? What kind of home are you looking for? You know, as a condo, you can still host a few events, you know, if it's a higher square footage condo, but you're gonna be like a little more private. Are you gonna have your friends over from out of town and spend the night? Then you're gonna want another bedroom. Are you not gonna have anybody over ever? And you just wanna have a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom for you and maybe just you, maybe you and your significant other, and you just wanna get a small townhouse in the middle of Sun City, never had anybody over, and just always spend time out and doing stuff. That's another thing to kind of take into account and think about. Do you want a new build home? Maybe you're, you know, kind of, I want to walk on the lot, pick out this house, customize it from start to finish, and I'll move in a year and a half when they're done building. Or are you okay with buying, you know, a home from somebody else who's already owned it? There are a ton of new build opportunities out here, especially in the age-restricted communities and non-age-restricted communities. And there are also a lot of, you know, secondhand market deals. There's a ton of options that way. It's just kind of, you know, putting together your checklist and what exactly you want in a community. And that was kind of my whole goal. I wanted to kind of run you down everything that you kind of needed to know. My biggest takeaway from this kind of video is I want to be close to my family personally, and I would want to have a home that I could host things. That's kind of looking, you know, I know my retirement's a little far away, but that's kind of, if I was moving into an age-restricted community, or maybe not even age-restricted, I would want something closer to my family and friends, and I would want something that I have room to host events at, have people over and things like that. I know some people are a little more introverted and they don't want to have people come over, and they just want to, you know, kind of hang out, maybe go to like some type of little, you know, art studio or something like that and not have to, you know, really interact with too many people. Maybe you can go to a smaller community. I have a lot of community videos on my YouTube channel that you guys can check out. And if you have any questions about any specific community, you know, feel free to reach out. And I have that 55 plus chart where I compare all the different communities together and kind of give you an idea of what you should be looking for. But I really like the idea of this checklist. I use it even for buyers who are, you know, first-time home buyers. I say, well, we need to know what we're looking for, because we could be walking into the perfect home and we might not even know because we don't know exactly what we're looking for. So I hope this kind of helped you out. I'd say, you know, location, friends, family, you know, what you want in the community. Those are kind of the big things to be looking for. Get a checklist, 10, 15 things. And if something hits, you know, almost all of them, it's going to be really hard to find the perfect community. You might be looking for a couple of years if you're waiting for something to hit 15 out of 15 points on your checklist. So, you know, buy a home in a community that hits 8 out of the 10. If you live there for a year or 2 years and you hate it, sell it and look for another one that you think, oh, well, you know, I'm living here in Sun City West. I'm not liking it too much, but, you know, I think Sun City hits all 10. Okay, let's sell that house and get into the other one. So my name's Caden Leali. I'm a realtor out here in Arizona. And like I said, I have that 55 plus chart and graph, and I have all these other videos about all these other communities. My name and number are on the screen right now. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a call and I can answer them. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and you have a good one.